Hi guys, welcome to a video for you called Fixing Broken Stuff Without Bursting into Tears or Throwing Your Laptop Out the Window. So this is just a video for all of you in the final throes of your assignments, when things are not going so great and maybe it's all stopped working or it never was working or whatever. Yeah, I'm just going to go through the techniques that I use to solve issues like this. So what I've got is I've got a sketch file here from one of the other tutorials, the one that's sort of quite complex. It's dropping leaves when you roll over them, and I've just sort of littered it with a bunch of mistakes. So I'm going to show you how I would fix those mistakes. Most or all of them are silly mistakes, and I'm just going to show you a way of going through and fixing those. So I've pressed live preview here, and what I get here is a blank screen. You're all probably quite familiar with that. Don't know what you've done wrong, don't really know where to start looking for it, but a blank screen. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on my dev tools. So you can do that by right clicking and hitting inspect here, or you can do that by going view developer tools, or you can use this shortcut, which is the option command I shortcut, which will get up developer tools. So I'm just going to do that. Okay, so this normally comes up like this, and then you need to click on the console. The console is a great place for you to start to look for errors because it logs all the errors here. So there's a few things here, but first thing I can see here is this red line. So it says uncaught syntax error, unexpected end of input. This sort of error is something it's usually around, it is around syntax. So it's usually something like you've missed a bracket, or you haven't put in a semicolon, or you've put in a semicolon where it shouldn't be, or you've put a bracket in where it shouldn't be. So I can see that here it also gives me a file name, which is sketch.js, and a line number, so 110. So if I go into my file here and scroll down to line 110, okay, this is the final line of the document. So that doesn't give me a great deal of help, because basically it's saying it was it says unexpected end of input. So we can probably assume that that means that it didn't expect the whole file to end there. It probably means we're missing something. So I'm going to look back through here, and you can see that all my if statements here are all sort of all over the place. There might be something wrong in there. I've got 2 here. That doesn't seem right to me. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select it all, and I've got a plugin called Indenter, and you can indent the document. Yeah, and the way that you install that indenter plugin is in preferences, I think. No, it's not. It's not in preferences. Let's just close that down. No split. Okay, we'll go back here. No, we don't want that. So the way that you install the indenter, I might Google that. Auto indent plugin for brackets. Okay, so let's go to File, Extension Manager, and search for indenter. Okay, so let's do that in brackets. So there we go. File, Extension Manager. Here we go. So I've got it installed here, indenter, but you can search in here and you can install it. So install that, and then you can use the indenter tool here, so you can indent the document. And that just gets everything correctly indented, so it's easier to read. That's always the first thing you should do when looking for a bracket you haven't closed, because we can then start to see, okay, this one in progress animation, I have an if statement that wraps a few other if statements, and you can see, look, it also wraps, because you can see here it starts here and closes here. It's also wrapping our function mounts moved. So we can see there's something wrong here. So now we just have to go through and see if that's all, if what we're missing. So, okay, I open an if statement here, and I'm doing something inside it. And even without me being like, I did write this code, but I wrote it a while ago, so I'm not that familiar. But even then I can see that I've got a comment here that says if the x position, blah, 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 and then same for the y position. So I can probably assume that it needs closing bracket here. So we've missed a closing bracket. So if I select all that and indent it again, now it's starting to look a bit better, because the progress animation function it still wraps this mounts moved, but it's okay. So there's more than that. There's more than that bracket missing. There's something else going here. This function shouldn't be in here. This is a mouse move function. This should be out. So why don't I just move that back out? Try it again. I can see this progress animation function. Yep, okay, that's right. We're on, you can see the little green here. That's being closed here when it should be. We've now got our bracket here is being closed. Okay, that's good. We've got this if statement's opening and that's being closed. We've got another if statement here and that's being closed. That's great. We've got a big if statement in there and that's being closed. And then we've got our progress animation and that's being closed. So now, if we select it all and we go to indent, document, okay, now we can see mouse moved is here by itself where it should be, progress animation is there, mouse moved is there, mouse over handler is there. Okay, we're looking good. Okay, this all looks like it should be right. So let's save that and let's go back to our browser. Okay. So we've got rid of that syntax error, but now we've got a few other errors. Okay, so this is another common problem. You might be fixing one error and then it still doesn't work. So I know that I've solved that error, but what I can see now is that there's some other errors in here. You might be confused because you don't know if you've solved that error or not. But what I can see is that the error message we originally had about the brackets, the syntax error, has gone. We've fixed the brackets problem. Now we've got some more problems to look at. So let's just go through them calmly one by one. The first one here is on line 34, first positions is not defined. Now I can see that that's not how you spell first positions. I can assume that maybe I've made a typo. So if I go to line 34, and see this, I can see that this is my variable, first positions, and I'm trying to assign it to first positions. Yeah, we don't want that, so let's just get rid of that. Press save, see what happens now. Great, that error's gone. So one by one, calmly, we're solving the errors. We're not screaming, we're not crying, we're just one by one going through each thing. Right, uncaught, in promise, reference error, load image is not defined. Okay, that's on line 37. Now, I don't know, some of you might have spotted the problem here. I can already spot the problem here, but it's a common problem that everyone goes through, is that we're not using camel case. Yeah, camel case is important. Progress animation, that's in camel case. It's got no capital at the front, and it's got a capital for every word after, because it looks like a camel. Yeah. So here, I can see that load image is not in camel case, and I know that the P5 function load image has a capital I. Okay. Right, now we've got some more problems. We're progressing though, look. We have a loading sign here. Alright, we've got some more problems. Get dropping leaves asset leaf1, it's not found. Leaf1 is not found. So this is something to do with this file. Yeah, leaf1.png is not found. So let's just go and look at that line of code. It doesn't have a line there for us. Oh, P5. but we can have a little look at where that, we know that we did try to load that image in and it wasn't loaded. So leaf 1 looks all right. Let's just go over to our folder, which is this one, dropping leaves. Let's look in our assets thing, leaf.png. So that's the issue. So our file here in assets is called leaf.png, but we're saying leaf_1. So let's just get rid of that, save it again. One by one, we're solving the issues. Okay, those issues are gone. But now we're back to sort of square one. We've got nothing again. But we've got a problem here. Uncaught impromise reference error, Minerva is not defined. Now Minerva we know was the font that came with the tap essay. So let's go and find on line 42 where it starts to talk about this. Here, line 42, text font Minerva. Now I can see that I know that I don't use any fonts in this, so I don't even know why I'm trying to declare it. I can probably surmise that I had this stuff left over from when I created the tap essay thing, but I no longer use it. So that's another thing for you guys to remember, is that if you're removing something or not using something, make sure you clean up your code as you go. Don't comment it out. I could just comment that out and leave it there in case, you know, I need it again. But I know I'm not going to need it again, so I'm going to delete it. And I can also see that the reason it's done that is because we don't mention Minerva anywhere here. So we haven't loaded in Minerva. We haven't loaded the asset. So that's why it's giving us that error. So if I could just get rid of that and save. Oh, we've got some leaves, but it's still not working. I don't know what's going on here. But nothing is, the things are meant, when you're rolling over here, it should be dropping and there should be a yellow background. So again, we just go back to our console and we can see these areas. P5.js says color was expecting number for parameter 0 and received string instead. And I can see that uncaught error is not a valid color representation. So I also can see that there's two errors in there to do with the color. I can also see I'm not seeing the color in the background. So I know I'm trying to draw a background color, and I can see that maybe these two errors relate to that. So I'm going to go and just inspect the color, the bit where I draw the color, background. Okay, so here's this. I can see that background yellow 0.1. I'm trying to draw a transparent background. Okay, so there's probably something not quite right with that. I've made a mistake there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just check how you use that background function. So I'm going to go back to P5. I'm going to check the reference. I'm going to look for background. There it is. So I know I can use a number. I know you can use RGB. I know I can use HSNB. I know I can use a name. That's what I've tried to do. I know I can use RGB notation, and I can use RGBA. So when I was wanting to do a tint, I was probably wanting to do something like that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, you know what, I don't want to do a tint. I'm just going to stick with the name, and I'm going to fix this. Yellow. Great. But we're missing our stuff. Where's our leaves? Okay. Another error we've got here. So there's a few things going on here. I can see that the background it seems to be getting drawn over the leaves. We've also got another reference error. So uncaught reference error, second positions is not defined. So I can see there, see that double D, another silly mistake. So I'm going to go to line 73. I'm going to line 73 because I can see line 73 here. Line 73, double D. And I can see I've made the same mistake on the next line down, so I'm going to fix that too. Great. But now we can't see our leaves. We've got no console errors though. Hooray. So now we're going to look at our draw function and we're going to see why aren't we seeing any leaves. And we can see that we're doing all our leaves here, but we're drawing the background over the top. So somehow that's got mucked up and I'm drawing the background before I'm drawing the leaves. So if I save that, go back, hey, we've fixed all our errors. And we didn't throw our computer out the window. So just go through those things. The key things to take away there are the indenter plugin, calmly going through the console to fix the errors, checking for silly mistakes. Actually, there's just two key things there, the indenter and calmly going through the console. Alright, I hope that helps you guys in your final few days of doing your assignment. Alright, bye.